Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Mark Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of Sovereign Grace churches with our executive director. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Ben, you are back. How are you feeling?
A lot better than I was. Thank you.
Okay.
So it's nice to be back with you. Yeah, just got the flu. It's going around. Everyone we know.
Sorry, I had the flu.
Thanks. And then
As
thank
you know,
you
I recorded a podcast. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to say on the podcast, I appreciate you asking people to pray for me. So thanks for that, Mark.
You're welcome. I went ahead, as you know, and recorded one. It was subpar without you. So it's glad to bring the level of excellence back up with you on the podcast.
The band is back together.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, Mark, guys are in the thick of planning. Most likely, most pastors are in the thick of planning for next year and all the events and activities that are coming up, seeking to be strategic in how we formulate our church calendars. But in the middle of that kind of busyness, surely we must not forget God's call to us, found in 2 Timothy chapter 2, that what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, and trust the faithful men who will be able to teach others also. And so there is a kind of strategic planning that is much more long-term when it comes to investing in and developing the next generation for ministry. And I know that is something that's important to you. Talk to us about that.
It is important. And I think it begins with, I can't believe I get to do what I do. I think most pastors feel that way in Sovereign Grace. Just the joy of being a pastor and the joy I have of being executive director. I really do mean that. I can't believe I get to do what I do. And there's even a lot, even though it's hard work, there's a lot of joy in planning out the next year or so. As you begin to think about sermon series and small group meetings and how to use those strategically, and even leadership development and all that goes with normal church life. And in the busyness of the joy of the business in the day to day, we can sometimes miss the opportunity to step back and really ask this question as pastors: what will my church look like 15 years, 20 years down the road? Who may be young men in my church who may be pastors at that time? Who are those in our church that could be leaders, those pillars in the church that every pastor prays for? Who will be leading small groups? I mean, those people right now may be in children's ministry. They may be in youth ministry. And it's important that we think about how do we invest into them now, because we hope that God will allow every church in Sovereign Grace to be a multi-generational church. We're praying that we can be a multi-generational family of churches. Yes. And that happens by God's grace primarily, but his grace works through our efforts to invest into those who are young in our church now. And we were talking just before we started to record, just to even instill a love for the church in them at a young age. What a joy it is to gather with the people of God, and they just get a vision for the dearest place on earth, the local church. So it's really how do we do that now, that I think it's helpful for guys to think about and really ask that question: what will my church look like in 20 years?
That's a great question, and appreciate that. That's clarifying. I know that this is not only something that you carry on your heart for Sovereign Grace, but also express that with things like the summer internship program each year, where we can invest in guys in that way. But there's another resource that the leadership team has developed to serve our churches in this regard that's coming up. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's called the Relay Conference. We introduced it at our pastors' conference back in November, and this is really the heart and the work of John Payne and Jared Mellinger, just to commend those two guys on the leadership team. And they just have a desire to invest into young adults in our churches. So that's what the Relay Conference is about. Relay, of course, is that sort of word picture of passing the baton to the next generation, the next runner in the race, obviously. And so Relay is a conference for young adults that will happen January 11th to the 13th, 2024, at Covenant Fellowship Church in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. So again, January 11th through the 13th, 2024. It's only about a year from now that
Hmm.
event will be occurring. And so I wanted to talk about it early in the year, and I want to continue to talk about it throughout 2023 on this podcast, just to generate a sense of interest and the importance of you as a pastor sending young adults to this conference in January of 2024. And let me just commend the example of Dave Taylor. He is so excited about that. He sent us a list, I think, of about 15 young adults in Australia that are going to travel over to the Relay Conference in January of 2024. So his example is a compelling one. I know Jeffrey Joe from the Philippines is excited about this as well, plans to send some young adults. So those guys are traveling long distances to come to the Relay Conference, and I hope our guys a little bit closer in geographic distance will we'll send people as well. And just a little bit of an idea. Obviously, there'll be preaching, there'll be breakout sessions. I believe Jeff Percival is committed to speak. I believe CJ is committed to speak. I believe Bob Coughlin is going to be involved along with Devin leading singing. And there's several breakout sessions planned, one of which I'll be leading. So it's well thought out. It's comprised of older and younger generations working together to invest into our future. And I hope you will tell your church about it, and I hope you will find a way to send young adults in your church to Relay in January of 2024.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks to you guys for putting this together to serve us. As we're speaking, I'm sitting here looking forward to gathering with my elder team to begin talking about who we could send as well. If we want to continue to in the future be what we are now, which is a family of church planting churches that care for churches, it's incumbent on us to invest in the next generation to see them raised up into ministry life as well. So thank you for helping us with that. Thank you all for watching or reading. We'll see you here, Lord willing, next week. By the time you get this, it'll be after Christmas, but still Merry Christmas. And we'll see you here next week, Lord willing. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.